Yeah, welcome to my channel. It looked for a while there actually that maybe, um, what's her names? The Red Bull for would be having some competition, specifically Verstappen as well too. Quite honestly, I mean he's still got about a good 56 point lead against Leclerc, um, and 50 and 63 against Lando Norris. Um, I think it's more of a case like yeah, we've been seeing like a past couple of races, specifically Canada, Montreal, and Italy, Monza, that there were issues that Verstappen was having as well as Red Bull itself. To be in front that Red Bull has about a 51 to yeah about 50 point lead over Ferrari, and McLaren's like not that far behind, and like everyone's talking about how both McLaren, Ferrari, and even Mercedes has improved a little bit, quite considerably. But I think that's based on the tracks for the past couple races that they've been at. Look for the next set that's going to happen, the next three or four. That'll give you a good feel of like where Red Bull's at. Because quite honestly, it, Red Bull wasn't meant for those corners that were in Montreal, meant for Monaco. Whereas Spain's next race, as well as in Great Britain and such, all those Hungary and such. It was built out where high corners, fast high corners is what Red Bull is built for, and like let's see what happens with Verstappen for that matter as well too. But quite honestly, it's to the point where with Verstappen, he's the only one that's pretty much leading out the Red Bull team. Perez surprisingly is number five, and it's kind of surprising. I mean, honestly, let's be upfront. I mean, when Mercedes was dominating, it was Lewis one or Lewis one and Bottas two or Hulkenberg, not Hulkenberg. I'm sorry, Rosberg and Hamilton or Hamilton and Rosberg, whatever it may be. But they're always finishing 1-2 basically. This is a rare case where like Red Bull with Perez, he's at like number five, and quite honestly, everyone was talking about the fact that Ricardo Daniel is when he came on to Red Bull's sister company or child company essentially child aspect. Um, it's to a point where I don't think anyone figured that was going to be long term. That it was more of a stopgap for Ricardo because like for whatever reason Christian Horner uh, loves Daniel. I think he probably because he plucked him out of the from obscurity or whatever maybe, and like he showed his dominance while with Red Bull. But Suki's actually proving more to the point like being much better than Ricardo. And it's a case of like if Perez is not going to be signed for next year, and if there's going to be an or 2 years from now, depending, um, whoever deserves that second seat should not be Ricardo, but either Suki or any other person that they'll bring up at that point. I mean, we've seen rumors, and now it looks like it is confirmed in a ways that basically that what's his name signs um, may most likely might will most likely be with Williams next year. Because I think everyone's waiting for signs more than anything else. Because if he doesn't make that necessary move as to or decision, put it that way, if he doesn't make that decision um, into where he should be or where he should be going, it's going to be a little tricky, quite honestly, because he's holding up the teams as far as who should take what at that point or what drivers they should sign. I honestly. Um, But like I said, I mean, we'll see the next couple of races, but look for Verstappen to win those races. And I think Verstappen will run away with it. If he wins the next two races by a significant margin, then he's pretty much got the season tied up at that point. Unless for whatever reason he starts not finishing in the next few races after that. I'm pretty sure I think we all know that he's going to win this one again. The only real question is like if Ferrari can be the top number two and number three for the next here on races, they can get the Constructors' Cup at that point. If they get the Constructors' Cup, it'll be a whole different beast altogether. To the point where, like, I think that will most likely expedite. I hate to say that word, but yes, expedite or hasten more than anything else. Checo's seat with Red Bull. Um, I hate to say this, but like, yeah, I mean, if Checo doesn't shape, I don't want to say shape up, but if Perez can't, well, not winning, but if he can't get in the top two at least or top three at the next four races, and he's finishing five or six, I hate to say this. I mean, it might be a case where like maybe Red Bull might have to get rid of him. I know Christian might want to keep him. I don't know. Who knows? But um, it's more of a case where. Sorry, looking up a few things here or there, but um, it's a case where like of course like they might force him out. Honestly, they might force him out. It's a possibility too, like buy out his contract because, I mean, it's kind of surprising. I mean, honestly, I don't want to say surprising, but it's a little disheartening that he hasn't been consistent. And I think that's something that Red Bull's taking into place. I mean, he has the talent. We know he has the talent because we've seen him do really well with far less superior cars. But it could be a case where, like, similar to what Gasly was and with Albon was, when they went into the higher end car, they had a better performing car. They just took a long time to adjust to it, and I think that's the case in this situation where, honestly, Perez has had a couple of years now to adjust. The fact that he's not being consistent is kind of surprising and scary. To the point where, like, if I put it this way, if Red Bull held a shot, if they put Bottas in place, I think Bottas would be number two every year, every race practically, either one or two basically. He'll probably be one or two. He'll probably, I don't want to say push Max, but like he did when he was teammates with Hamilton, he might elevate not only Verstappen's capability, but also help the team in the long term as well too. And I hate to say this, but like it's one of those things where it's sad to say, but Red Bull, if they don't, I want to say if they don't, how do I say it nicely? Because Checo is a really good driver, and he's a really fun driver too. And I always thought like he was more arrogant, but then seeing what Ocon, because of when he was with Racing Point at one point with Ocon as his teammate, but then the fact is like seeing how Ocon is, he almost reminds me a little bit of Kvyat a little bit, being the torpedo. That it's right for the team Alpine to basically get rid of Ocon at this point. I hate to say this, but like they have to get rid of him. Gasly is the future. It's just a matter of like who Gasly is definitely the future for Alpine at this point. But for Sergio, it's one of those things where he's a nice driver, but it's one of those things where I don't think he's the right fit for Red Bull at this point. He might be a right fit for maybe Alpine, or maybe even better, he might be a right fit for Aston Martin, actually. I mean, I hate to say this, but like Papa Stroll has to get think about the team, the team overall, not just his son, but the team overall. I mean, Lance Stroll has not been proving otherwise. I mean, he's had Alonso like to mentor him, but it doesn't seem like he's taking into the account those. Well, I don't know if Alonso is actually giving him pointers, but if he is, it doesn't seem like Lance is taking him to heart, basically. And if that's the situation, I hate to say this, but like maybe it's time to get rid of Stroll as well too. I mean, if Aston Martin, what it is now, wants to be in the top two or top three, you're gonna have to get another couple of good drivers basically at this point. I mean, I hate to say this, but Alonso, as good as he is, I don't think he can last another year with that car. More so, I think it's time to go for the youth movement. I mean, I know it's like something people don't expect to see because like with youth comes the experience, but Mick Schumacher has shown some cases of talent there. Not as great on the under the Ferrari engine, but maybe under the Mercedes engine, he might do much better actually. So it'd be interesting to see if he were to go to not to Williams, but to Aston Martin, or even Williams for that matter. But I think Williams has already got it locked down with their team. That Mick might have. I don't want to say his father's capabilities, but seeing what Verstappen is doing right now, Max is doing, and his father, what he was, that it's a possibility that it's possible that Mick, given time and the proper tools, he might thrive. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on the Formula One aspect. Do you think Verstappen actually wins this? Wins another championship? Do you think Red Bull has a serious problem, legitimate problem with McLaren coming up and Ferrari as well too? And more so to the point of like I as I said, Piastri it shows his brilliance now, and so like McLaren can't screw the pooch on this one. I mean, Lando, I think he's getting more visibility because not only the fact that he's English, but also the fact is like I think he's been with them for quite a while, that he was the one to focus on. But if Piastri starts showing his skill sets and he refines it a little bit, I think he just needs to refine a few things here and there, and McLaren can work the car towards him. He will far outshine Lando. That Lando will go from number one to the number two driver for McLaren at that point. Similarly to like with the case of Checo. I mean, if Checo, well, not Checo but himself, but honestly, Suki. I think Suki probably deserves that number two car based on the way he's driving and based on the fact that he had a really good car. I think Suki would do really well. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Again, leave your comment in the comment sections. I do read them. I do respond to them when they want a response. And if you like my content, like my videos, like my channel, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. With that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.